Charles glanced at his watch and stretched. The week was finally over. He shut down the computer with relief, cleaned up the papers on his desk, grabbed his bag, and headed for the exit, remembering to close the door to his office. How tired I was. Today is the long-awaited Friday. It's coming back. I need to relieve the tension. He dialed his friend's number, getting into the car. Sam, we're all set. The usual sauna and billiards. Are the arrangements still in place? Yeah, the usual gathering. The guys are on their way. The girls will be here. Margot promised to bring such beauties today. Sam laughed meaningfully. She's not late, or the juiciest ones will be taken. It'll be fun tonight, I promise. I'll see you then. Charles parked the car, went up to the floor. Darling! A man spoke from the doorway. How are we doing? He kissed his wife and went straight to the sauna. Camille looked at him silently. Why are you pouting? You know it's my man's day. I'm going to meet some friends. Anyway, it's out of the question. Once a month I can afford it, Dad. Dad came into the living room, his son ran out and rushed to his father. Hello, son. Picking up the boy in his arms, the father kissed him and put him on the floor. Run to your room. Did you promise to go to the park with James? Camille knew her husband's predilections. She was hurt and offended. But she didn't stop Charles. What are we talking about? We'll definitely go. Camille, I'm leaving. Don't wait for me. I'll be back late, as usual. And make me something nice for breakfast. You haven't even had dinner, the woman asked discreetly. No thanks. I'm in a hurry. They're waiting for me. And the table's already set. I hope so, he laughed. I'm not bored. Time to do something for myself. James? Hi. The man hurriedly packed up and left. There were parked cars, parked in a row outside the salon. He smiled, satisfied, got out of the car and entered a large room where half-naked men were talking merrily about something. And men? Charles walked happily toward his buddies. Here I am. What do you say we take a small drink to break it up? Oh, I'm tired. Gotta get some rest tonight. No one minds, Charles. Look, the table's already set. We've been waiting for you, but not without you. They embraced, laughing and cheering Charles. Oh, Charles, one of the... Poor if he of them said, If I were your wife, I would. How long have you had your bruises out, Vasevolod? How cleverly you've managed to please your wife at home. And there are girls here. And everybody's happy. Lucky man? Somewhere he found such a docile wife, and they shared their experience. Maybe we can marry them too. Some of us are already on the second round of weddings. And you haven't met anyone like your Camille? Envy, in silence, Charles replied condescendingly. A real man has the right to relax once a month. The men nodded their heads in agreement. Well, my wife understands and accepts it. It is even useful sometimes with friends to have a good time. And for family life shake-up, I come to my wife renewed, she can't complain about me. We act like newlyweds in bed, not guys. Holy Friday's good for you. Whatever you say, but who thinks otherwise? Stay home and shut up. Be content with what you've got. If you like hiding under your wife's skirt. Camille knows. I'll never let her boss me around, so I'm still with her. And your mother-in-law, she doesn't know about your affairs? Hasn't Camille complained about you to her mother? As you can see, I'm perfectly fine. Charles laughed. We keep our little family secrets to ourselves, and sleep well. And how did your Camille put up with mine, when she found out how we were having fun here? She immediately demanded we leave with our stuff. She wouldn't even listen to me. She made such a scene. I thought she was going to kill me. How did she find out? The men guessed. She should be in intelligence. You were so careful to make sure your wife never knew where you were spending your Friday night. Yeah, boy, you're out of luck. Some kind people came forward? I'm going to find out who screwed me over. I got my head screwed on straight. That, friends, is because you do not behave properly with your wives, Charles admonished. I, for example, think like this. A man went into the sauna with his buddies and began to undress. He immediately indicated his position to his future wife. On the last Friday of every night, I'm a bachelor. I spend it day and night. By the way, also the way I want, and no questions asked. 5 years we've been living together without any complaints from her. That's how you should talk to women. Bring them up. You have to keep them strict. The moment you let them down, it's over. My Camille will never say a word against me. Aren't you sick of your wife? My wife is always nagging me to buy something, to do something. I took care of the kids. I wonder how long I'll have the patience for. That's why I got a mistress, to get away from my wife and have a vacation with her. No worries, no need to think about anything. And always ready to make love to you. And that the wife is always a headache, or bad mood, or mother-in-law not in time to visit. Without a mistress, I'd have gone crazy a long time ago. Camille doesn't ask questions. We live soul to soul, but I keep my word. Except on Holy Friday, no love affairs. That's the way I see it. You get married, you live. And to marry and then divorce is not for me. Pasha didn't even live with his wife for a year. How did she get a divorce? Why do I need such happiness? Everything suits me. Only no one expected that the mother-in-law, the man Charles called Rick, scratched the back of his head in embarrassment. We'll find a bra to the mistress in the briefcase, with documents always checked carefully. And here he'd made a mistake. Well, and scandal made a scandal. And the wife wouldn't even listen. Her mother so twisted her that she had to quickly pack her things and move out to a rented apartment. I wanted to break up with my mistress, so she took revenge on me. Girls are so mean. Now without a wife and without a mistress. One thing I'm glad about is no mother-in-law. The man laughed. What am I talking about? Charles looked triumphantly around the company. You don't have to hide anything. You want to accept the terms. You don't want to step aside and get out of the way. That's the only way to talk to women on their own terms. You don't have to lie and dodge. Come on, Charles. A permanent mistress is also good to have. Pashkin's example is an exception to the rule. Who doesn't happen to anyone, but 2 or 3 times a week you feel like a real macho? Mistress, I don't need anything from you except money, but you get all the attention. Please, she's a sinful woman. It's too expensive. Tell me, Sam, how much did you spend last time buying a fur coat for your date? Almost $500,000, the men murmured approvingly. And that kind of spending would require even that much every time. Why should I have this headache? And here once a month paid for the services of a pleasant young woman and got a charge of vivacity. No criminals, no obligations, and no claims. One Friday is not enough to reboot, to renew. No, men, whatever you say, but my formula for living is the most comfortable. I don't look around in fear for fear of being discovered. I don't have jealousy scenes. I don't have to splurge on expensive gifts. Everyone is happy with everything and no one resents me. That's the way to live. Learn. I'll give you an idea for free. Take it from me and live life to your heart's content. At that time, the door opened and the girls entered the hall. Hello, boys! They, laughing merrily, chose their partners. Enough philosophizing, Charles. It's time to start the party. I'd rather spend my time on girls than on idle chatter, said one of my friends. Yes, let's see what our hens can do. Charles playfully slapped his girlfriend below the waist. Are you as good in bed as my Camille? Come on. I'm ready to ignite the fire of passion in you. See what I'm capable of. I won't pretend to be a good family man tonight. I want to get a little crazy, but are you ready? The girl took a chance and laughed. Charles kissed her vigorously on the lips. Oh, you're so fucking good. I'm going to whip you with a whisk. Will you give me a massage? Can you do that? I can do anything. The girl smiled promisingly at him. The whole company went to the steam room. After a while, they returned to the anteroom. The men, blushing in the process, in Bethrobis sat down at the table, sipping beer. The girls chatted with each other aside, exchanging jokes and impressions of their partners. No, Charles, one of the buddies spoke up. I still don't understand how Camille allows herself to use call girls. Aren't you ashamed to look her in the eye? You have a child. Either she's a complete idiot or a saint. Aren't you ashamed to go from mistress to wife? Parried Charles. Don't pretend you're all white and fluffy. I'm not the only scoundrel. Do you cheat behind your wives' backs? I'm telling the truth. And I don't care what you think of me. Wives don't know about the existence of mistresses, but yours knows and tolerates it. What do you take her for? Why does she take you back? Men, don't you know how to butter a woman up? I always buy my wife a gift after Holy Friday. So she understands that fun is fun and a wife is sacred. Last time I ordered a huge bouquet of roses and a box of expensive chocolates for her on Sunday morning. I don't spare anything for my wife, and it's nice for her. I still go back to her. We all have our weaknesses. I knew who I was marrying. I'm married? I've never refused a woman's attention. Well, Charles, you're a connoisseur of women's hearts. I think it's time you wrote a manual on how to cheat on your wife and keep your family together. Not a bad idea, the man grinned condescendingly. What to get your wife this time? Have you already thought of it? I haven't decided yet. Depends on my mood. I haven't given gold for a long time. Should I look for something? My wife's an unassuming man. What I buy, she'll thank me for. The men laughed again. Yes, Charles, you're lucky to have a wife. Envy, said one. There's no one else like your Camille in the world. That's right, echoed another. And we sit here wondering what's in store for us tonight. Will she make a scene or not? I guess we'll have to go through the store with Charles, too. Look, it will pass, and Maya again will demand that I stop going to the sauna, sighed someone. Do you want to divorce? Every time nags and nags. And Leave It does not want to leave her. And from meetings with you, I cannot refuse. It's not long before I'm under her thumb. I don't know what to do. If this keeps up, we're going to have to close the club. Somebody said something. Oh no. Everybody's talking at once. No way. I'd rather get divorced again than give up our Friday nights. A woman can be replaced, but our male friendship can't be replaced. We stand by it. Let's not let women ruin our union. Lucky our wives don't know each other, one of the men suddenly remarked. Otherwise, they'd all be together to tighten the screws on us. We must never let them get to know each other. Then it's definitely goodbye. Our men's club. Women, if they get together. Deadly force. Not drifting. What a man. He's afraid of women. I'm listening to you, and I'm telling you once again, you should have chosen waves who are not only beautiful and economical, but also smart. The smart ones are easier to negotiate with. Your Charles started it. Camille is a smart woman. She knows what she'll lose if she resents me, but she also knows how to appreciate my honesty. That's why I respect her. Boys, a girl turned to them with a grudge. How many times do we have to talk? Go to the steam room, we're freezing. We didn't come here to listen to you talk. I'd like to do something more pleasant. She carelessly threw off her terry robe. Oh, our chains! Charles picked up the girl in his arms and carried her into the steam room. Now we're warming you up. The others picked up the girls too, so with jokes and laughter, they went to the steam room. All night in between trips to the steam rooms, we ate, drank, had some privacy with the girls. Then someone suggested we play billiards. We played strip pool. We went to our rooms. When did dawn break? Charles woke up the next morning with a headache and a naked girl in his arms. He couldn't even remember her name. Sorry, babe, got over her, the man muttered. I gotta go. Cute, cranky, muttered the girl. Stay, it's still early. We're in a hurry to be somewhere a little longer. Wasn't it good with you? I can't. I have to go home. I had fun with you, too. It was an unforgettable night. You're so sweet. He leaned over and kissed her naked body. Be a good girl. Don't tell me your wife is waiting for you. Roll over on the other side and wrap a blanket around you. Spoke seductively. Maybe there are children, too. And a wife and children complete set. Alas, this is the truth of life. That's why I can't linger here. Then what the hell are you doing here? Don't you have a wife? Or is she sick? Or maybe she's ugly? Don't you want a thrill? Charles grinned. A wife is a constant, unchanging unit. I like variety. People like you help to get rid of routine. Now I'm going back to my wife, and again plunged into the quiet dresser of family happiness. Well, you and the dog, closing her eyes, stretched out the girl. However, all of you men are blinded from the same dough. Not without it, grinned the man. And you have nowhere to hurry. Are you leaving? And the man was surprised. He went into the kitchen for a smoke. I thought we'd be here for a while. The sauna is paid for until lunchtime. You stay here and I'll go home. I have to buy Camille a present. She'll be worried. I don't want to worry her for nothing. Charles put his things in his bag and went out for some fresh air. Well, I'll see you next time at the club. The guy shook his friend's hand firmly. Yeah, while the friends hugged, Charles got in his car and drove away. Camille. The man was careful not to make any noise and walked into the living room. Huh? I'm home. I'm so hungry. What did you make for breakfast? Look what I bought you! He took a long velvet box out of his pocket. Charles was more generous than ever. And he bought a gold bracelet. Camille, where are you? The man froze in the middle of the living room,
struck by the strange silence that lingered in the house. At his feet joyfully rushed Rex Blamey. Hello, Rex. Stand back. Not up to you, Camille. He went into the bedroom. Why aren't you greeting me? Where are you? It's weird. It's like everyone's gone extinct. I usually have breakfast on the table by now. What's going on? The man went to the kitchen and did not notice in the semi-darkness of the corridor that the dog did not wait for the owner and made a big puddle on the floor, and next to it was a pile. Charles stepped awkwardly, slipped on the tile on the floor and sprained, hitting his elbow painfully as he fell. On top of that, he got his hand in dog feces. Damn it, Rex.
Charles cursed in frustration. Didn't they walk you today? Why on earth did you make a puddle? The dog slipped away, twirling his tail guiltily, and began licking his master's face. Get away from me! Not a privileged person. The man got up with difficulty, went to the bathroom, took off his clothes, washed them, and washed his hands thoroughly. Where has my wife gone? And you can't hear your son. She usually walks you and the dog early. Before breakfast. Camille shouted louder to his wife, Mon. Where did you miss? Where is everybody? Are you playing hide and seek with me this morning? I'm not in the mood for riddles right now. I need to eat and sleep. Hey, come on out. Rex, can you tell me where I can find the jokers? They can't just vaporize, can they? Calm down. Maybe they've gone for a walk. No, that's nonsense. They didn't take the dog out. They went for a walk. And there's nowhere to hide. The man walked around the rooms and stopped in the middle of the living room in confusion. For the first time, he did not know what to do. Camille. James, stop hiding. I appreciate your sparkling humor. Camille, You don't want your husband to starve to death, do you? I'm going to take a shower now, and you set the table. Deal. He listened. The apartment was still dead silent. Camille, I promise to get some sleep and we'll go to the park like we planned. You know I need a few hours to recover. And then I'm yours for tonight, and Sunday is sacred. I never change my rules. Camille, are you offended or something? What's the matter with you? I don't recognize you. The dog's whining again, looking faithfully into his master's eyes. Rex. Charles patted him on the head. You know where our mom went, don't you? The dog's out of the backstage again. Why didn't she walk you? What could have happened, and where did she go with her son? Stop whining. Calm down, I'm not mad at you. I'll clean it up. I'll have to do it myself since the landlady ran away. That's all I need. The man put on his home clothes and started cleaning up the puddle and bad-smelling piles behind the dog. Done. Now, into the shower. After a few minutes, he came out of the bathroom and said to the dog, Now I'm going to sleep. Don't disturb me. I promise to get a little cut off. I'll come to my senses, and we'll go outside. At the same time, we'll figure out where to find Camille and James. I can't think straight right now. I'm not in the right state of mind. And you, my friend, get back to your seat and be quiet. The dog obediently retired to his bed in the hallway, and the man fell exhaustedly into bed and fell asleep. It was already dark when Charles opened his eyes and listened. Nothing disturbed the silence in the apartment. The clock read 7 hours p.m. The dog was sleeping on the floor next to the bed, bending over from time to time. As soon as his owner moved, he immediately jumped up and barked loudly. Supplemented! Charles wrinkled his nose. I realize you're already holding it together. The silence is bearable. The dog's head is splitting without you. I know it's time for you to spill out. Just bear with me for a while. I'm going to take an aspirin. Where's the damn medicine cabinet? Camille always gives me pills. I don't even know where the medicine is kept in this house. Oh, there they are. The happy man grinned as he noticed a drawer on the bathroom shelf with the word first aid kit in red letters on it. He opened the drawer, pulled out a package, and groaned. Where are the pills? He shook the empty package. A piece of paper fell out on the floor. Charles unfolded it and read it. Go buy yourself some aspirin. I don't get it. What's the big joke? With annoyance, he threw the medicine cabinet. The tubes of the box glittered, scattered on the floor. Rex barked fearfully. Shut up! Charles shouted at him in frustration. I'm sick of it without you. Right? Collecting the medicines that were on the floor in a box, the man said. We'll have to make do with painkillers. Yeah, that's it. Okay, Rex, no offense, I'll get some water, pop some pills, and we'll go for a walk. I swear, 5 minutes, and then we'll go. Look, without the pills, I can't move at all. Every step I take echoes in my head. I keep telling myself not to mix champagne, vodka, and beer. It's impossible to resist. Friends are drinking. How not to support the company? And my head? He opened the refrigerator door and was surprised. On the shelf, where usually stood bottles of water, was a sheet of paper. On it, printed on the printer. A hand twisted the figure and the words, Here's your mineral water. Wow, Charles exclaimed. I am definitely in my own home. What kind of a quest did my wife set up for me? It's not like her to tell me what she was going to tell me. And where is she? Okay, we'll figure it out later. Right now, let's calm the naked man down. He took some tap water to drink his pill. This is a joke. He sat down at the table with his hands on his head. Sat there until the headache slowly started to go away. Well, that was fun. Charles dialed his wife's number. I feel like a human being. Now I can talk to Camille and ask her for everything. My elbow hurts. He cringed. He prepared to tell her what he thought. He made a stern face, but the phone rang. The phone is off or out of range. Here we go. The man looked at the screen in surprise and the phone was disconnected. Where the hell is she? No explanation. Only stupid notes she left. At least she could have written down where to find her. She'll never get away with this, Charles said angrily. I won't be laughed at. The dog Rex barked again in the hallway. The man had to force himself to get up. He grudgingly got dressed. Buddy, I forgot all about you. I'm sorry, brother. We're going for a walk and then we'll go to the drugstore and get some aspirin. I'm still a little woozy. So she pulled a stunt. Charles took the dog on a leash and went outside. Rex was happy, jumping around his master and nodding cheerfully. The man tied the dog on the porch of the drugstore, quickly bought some aspirin, and went back outside. I don't know about you, Rex, but I'm already out for a walk. Appetite, the man headed toward the house. The dog asked beside him, don't be offended that we didn't walk enough, I swear. He walks you overnight and in the morning as he should. I hope Camila will be back by now. And the dog? She didn't tell you anything. When will she be back? You don't know. I don't know what to think. It's the first time I've been in this stupid position. I feel like a complete idiot. At home, I undressed and went to the kitchen. It's hot. Can I get you anything? He said, taking out of the refrigerator a pot, from which they usually poured him soup or borscht. All right, I'm not going to warm a plate on me, and that's enough. Yes, Rex, wait. I'll feed you. I'll just put it on warm? In his mind, he was already imagining how he would the appetite for soup, which his wife cooked perfectly. Charles opened the lid of the iso pot, gritted his teeth in anger. What again? In the empty pot lay another note. Make your own soup. Underneath the words was a funny, smiling face. Well, that's it. I've been beaten. With anger, the man tore the note into small shreds and threw them on the floor. The empty pot flew to the floor. Rex bounced fearfully from behind the barking. Will you shut up? Charles shouted at the dog, but he didn't stop, standing next to the empty teddy bear. He was hinting to his master that it was time to feed him. Stop barking, I know you're hungry. Charles swung at the dog in hearts, but still got the cabinet and a bag of dry food. Did the Russians even care? He realized in a bowl of crunchy pads. And I'm worse than a dog. What kind of game is my wife playing? I'm the one who didn't do enough for her? Everything for her? Everything for the house. What else do I need? Do I have to cook my own soup? I'm not a housewife. Why do I need a wife if I'm going to do everything myself? All right. He watched with envy as the dog crunched the food with gusto. We'll have to make do with a sandwich or something, won't we? For now, I hope there's at least a piece of sausage. Charles opened the fridge again. Oh, you guys, he exclaimed indignantly. Camille has lost her conscience. He began to lift one by one the lids of the pots on the shelves and tossed out mock notes. What kind of a hostess is this, if the refrigerator is all raw vegetables and empty pots with stupid notes? Where's the sausage, the butter? Where did it all disappear to? Don't I give her enough money for groceries? Oh, there's some canned food for Rex. Dog woof. Don't worry, I won't hot your food. What am I going to do? He slammed the fridge shut, looked at this dog carefully, deciding what to do. Yeah, you're right. I have no choice but to go to the old horde. My mother-in-law, I know what she'll say. It wouldn't hurt to ask her where my wife has gone, would it? I'm sure she knows. And dinner, of course. To go to bed on an empty stomach, I do not smile at all. Will in a fist, and K. Tishchenko will have to listen to a lot of unflattering words about himself. But what will not sacrifice for a bowl of borscht? He went to the shower to freshen up, put himself in order, changed his clothes. His stomach was sticking out. The mood was disgusting. Half an hour later, he was standing at the door of Emily's apartment. The refusal lasted deeply, sighed, and pressed the call button. What on earth is going on today? And the mother-in-law is not at home. Charles kicked the door in his hearts, rang the bell again. He put his ear to the door. Not a sound was heard in the apartment. Looks like I'm going to be hungry tonight. Just then, the elevator doors opened, and on the landing. First, a cart appeared, surrounded by jars, pickles, jams, and vegetables. And next, breathing heavily from exertion, Emily appeared. "Those, Charles!" She splayed her hands in surprise, stopping in front of the apartment door. "What are you doing here at this hour?" She turned the key in the lock. "Why are you standing there like a stumbling block? Help me if you're here, huh? You're useless." "Zai," she grumbled, stepping over the threshold. "I have to do everything myself. Do you like to eat? Do you like cooking?" "No. To come to the dacha and ask if you, mother-in-law, need expensive help? What a man these days! Just to sit at the computer and wipe his pants in the office. One good thing is that you bring money into the house. They don't have any." Charles, listening to his mother-in-law's rebuke, dragged the cart in, entered himself, and stopped in the hallway. Oh, mind, I was beating myself up. Emily quickly undressed, easily picked up the cart, and rolled it to the balcony. "You probably never held anything heavier than a pen. I could use a shovel to run around the grounds." "Oh, no!" It's good for exercise. It's good for the family." "What would you do without my pickles?" "It's like pickles in winter, pickles to eat with potatoes. Look how lovely." She lovingly took jars out of the cart and put them in the cupboard, all her own, ecologically clean. And you don't have to buy it, or you don't know what that they put in the jar at the store. Maybe they prepared poison. She laughed. Charles was still standing silently in the hallway, shifting from foot to foot. "Charles, what are you doing here?" "What's wrong, Emily?" "I have a question." The man looked at his mother-in-law with embarrassment. "Do you know where Camille is?" "Neither she nor James are home. She didn't even leave a note." "What young people?" The woman laughed. "You don't know. Did they have a fight or something?" "She went on vacation yesterday. She didn't tell you. She packed up and left." "Where were you? Just because you missed your wife?" "She left late last night." "I thought you knew." "Yeah, I went out with some friends last night, or I got held up." The man was embarrassed again. He didn't want to go into details. "What time did you get home?" "Oh, Charles." The woman came to her senses. "I'm talking to you? Are you going to have dinner? Sit down and cheer me up." "I don't feel like eating alone." He wanted to refuse, but from the kitchen smelled so good, his stomach had been grumbling for a long time, and his head began to ache again from hunger. So Charles could not resist and said, "Thank you, I will eat with pleasure." "Your daughter left me without food, by the way," the man complained, sitting down at the table. "And she left without even telling me. Please influence her. Dear mother-in-law, I can't afford to go hungry, and I don't have time to cook. I'm at work all day long." "And you don't touch my daughter?" Emily calmly said, putting before her son-in-law a full plate of borscht, mashed potatoes, cutlets, cucumbers, some cabbage salad. "Look at yourself. Some man, if you do not even know that the wife on vacation gathered, apparently not so perfect. If your wife didn't bother to inform you of her plans." She sat across from me. "Tell me, darling. Where were you when Camille left? With what friends? Sitting up late into the evening? You're not having an affair, are you? Look at me. Camille can keep quiet. But I'll scratch your newspapers out of your hands in a heartbeat. I wouldn't hurt my daughter. Charles, busy with dinner, is tense. Why is she begging me for everything? Do I have to answer to her? I don't answer to my wife, let alone my mother-in-law. Look at you. She's interrogating me. He decided to ignore the question. And anyway, why did my wife leave without consulting me? He remembered. The best defense is offense, so he asked a counter question to steer Emily away from a topic that didn't concern her at all. Where did my wife go? He asked with a sneer. And as far as I would like to know, you probably know. She went to a tourist camp for a week. I said so and so. Go, my daughter. We need a break from the kitchen, from pots and pans. You won't take her anywhere? How much time at the sea do you promise? We haven't gone once. Where? Charles was so surprised he opened his mouth in amazement. She asked how she had gotten there in the first place. Oh, isn't it too late to use tourist tickets? She's not a girl. How did she get there in the first place? And the big question is with whom? She met a classmate and he invited her. You're not naming her anywhere. Emily didn't hesitate to take a jab at her son-in-law. What did you drive your wife to? If she told me I won't leave, I'll go crazy. Now sit down. Think where she is. There and with whom. You should be more attentive to your wife, and you only keep her as a housekeeper. She doesn't see the light of day. All she knows is to serve, bring, clean, and you don't even think about Camille needing a rest from housework. I talked her out of it at first, but now I see it. She was right to leave without the sensual chump. What are you? How has she put up with this for so many years? She'll wait for you, she'll leave you, and she'll do the right thing. You don't appreciate her. Charles was angry. Ah! Why do I have to listen to this? I'm going to get up and leave. How many times do you have to nag me? He wanted to end the unpleasant conversation, but changed his mind. We'll sort it out ourselves. She's always suing where she doesn't want to be sued. To hell with her. Let her say what she wants. I came here to eat. My mother-in-law's borscht is excellent. Let her talk. I don't have to listen. Oh, I'll wait a little longer and then I'll leave. I've learned a lot of interesting things about my wife. Look at other families, Emily went on. Wives like cheese and butter with their husbands traveling abroad, and my daughter. What? Does she see? Only the kitchen. Your dirty laundry and floors do not take care of your wife. You men are all the same as long as you're around. You treat your wives like servants. But when a woman raises her head, you immediately make claims and start tightening the screws so that she doesn't fall apart, and she knows her place. My daughter is kind, patient. If she wasn't, she'd have given up and left a long time ago. You think I don't notice how hard it is for her to live with you? She loves you, you fool. What do you miss? Ira, you damned and beautiful, and home-beaten, and in the direction of other men does not even look. And you don't get enough. And that's why you're silent. I'm eating, Emily, Charles said. Your borscht is very tasty. Aren't you basic? Mother-in-law, pleased with the tray at the praise, even blushed with pleasure. I'm worried about my daughter. What's good? She sees you, wandering around. I know where the hell you go at night. That's it. Charles got up from the table. I'm sick of being lectured. You can nag your daughter, but don't nag me. I'm a grown man. I know how to live my life. Camille will regret leaving without telling me. I'll have a serious talk with him. He's gone into the hallway. Go on, smartass. Don't you dare threaten my girl. We've seen the likes of you. Charles left with a loud slam on the door. At home, Charles had Rex waiting for him. He immediately threw himself on his master's chest, clipping his face as he jumped near him. Come on, let's go for a walk. The man took the dog on a leash and went outside with him. Yes, brother. Only you understand me. My wife left with some classmate. My mother-in-law's been eating me up. I don't care about their women. The only bad thing is I'll have to cook for myself. I can't necessarily afford to go to a restaurant. Why not? It's not a bad idea. I've got to survive for a week. Walked the dog. Charles dialed his wife's number. What a bitch! He tossed the phone irritably. Still no cell phone. I'm tired of being on edge. I'm going to have a shot of cognac all day and go to sleep. And you, dog, don't you dare wake me up early tomorrow. He wagged his finger at the dog. Charles went to the bedroom and almost immediately fell asleep. First thing in the morning, he tried to call his wife again. He was glad when the receiver came to life and he heard Camille's voice. Allah! Where are you? Charles shouted frantically. Have you come all the way from the Urals? Not saying half a word, the man heard a short beep. How's that? The man was confused. How dare she hang up on him? What kind of bitch is that? She sent a message to Squeaky. Let's see what she wrote. When can you talk normally? Only then call me. I'm not going to listen to you yelling on vacation. A second later, a smiley face appeared on the screen. Is she kidding me? Charles winced with anger and started dialing his wife's number. But a pleasant female voice said that the caller was unavailable. This is out of line. She's disconnected her phone again. She's mocking me. Who does she think she is? It's like a kindergarten, honestly. It's okay. She'll be back at my place. I'll have a Bartholomew's night. I'll remember everything. She'll be on her feet begging for forgiveness. And no mom will help her. By the way, I didn't find out where their top convention is. I'd like to visit and bring home the disgraced wife. I'll wait, though. At that time, Camille was sitting in an armchair on the riverbank, enjoying the nature, exposing her face to the setting sun. The woman hid her phone in her purse, having turned it off beforehand, not intending to listen to his claims. Let him live without us, and he'll wise up. I'm tired of indulging him in everything. I came here on vacation, and no one has the right to spoil my mood. Oh, God, she thought wistfully. How have I lived all these years? The woman closed her eyes, enjoying the light breeze, the shower from the river, and plunged into memories. Evelyn, who is this? Camille nodded her head in the direction of a tall, slender, black, balding young man who was standing surrounded by girls and talking cheerfully about something. Don't even think about him, she warned her friend. He's such a womanizer. It's best not to get involved with him. You won't get anywhere with him. You'll cry on my name. It's all because of him. So what? The girl corrected herself. I still want to meet him. Look how handsome he is. You can only dream about him. Dream on. Who's stopping you? Don't you dare meet him. He'll break your heart. Can't you see he doesn't miss a single skirt? But I like him, Camille declared. What if he's my destiny? You're seeing him for the first time in your life? I feel he's my man. I'll make him mine alone. Fool. You can't change him. Do you want to spend the rest of your life being jealous? Look into his indifferent ease. He loves no one but himself. The girls' friends shrieked in surprise as Charles' strong arms embraced them from behind. Who are you two discussing? Didn't change, girl. He turned to Kanye, laughing. How come I still don't know you? What's your name? Beautiful stranger Camille, the girl said, embarrassed. And I'm Charles. Confess? Evelyn has already told all the gossip about me. She blushed slightly but answered defiantly. What kind of gossip is that? I've told the whole truth about you. I'm not exactly hiding the fact that rounding up women is your main occupation. Don't believe a word of this person, dear Camille. Yes, I've been involved with others, but that was before you. Now my heart belongs only to you. Listen to how it beats so reverently. Fooling around. Charles got down on one knee in front of me, grabbed her hand, and pressed it to his chest. The girl blushed, and a pleasant shiver ran through her body. I think I'm in love. Evelyn, where have you been hiding your friend Malloy for so long? Another girl came up to them and put her hand on Charles's shoulder. Where have you been fasting? I'm waiting. You don't come and you don't come. You promised me a dance? Excuse me, huh? The young man rose from his knees, bowed. But I'm expected. But we're not saying goodbye, Kamiletka. We'll see each other again. He sent her an air kiss. Charles left accompanied by the beauty, who, surviving by the hand, literally hung on him. Well, asked Evelyn skeptically. Camille. See how he is? In 5 minutes, he'll have another one. And he'll be walking home with a third. Do you still want to get to know him? I do. It's just that no one's ever really loved him. I'm not going to talk you out of it. You'll soon see for yourself that it's not going to work out. I feel sorry for you, but I'll be ready to stock the cage for your tears. After a while, Charles and Camille met again, as they had mutual friends. The girl watched from afar how easily Charles conversed with the guests. She was disappointed that he had never once approached her during the evening, and she had waited so long. Why are you suffering? Evelyn asked. Why do you need him? Find another guy? I don't think Charles will ever get married. He's incapable of loving one woman. I mean, look at all those girls hanging all over him. You think he'd willingly give up their attention? You know, in my opinion, Camille answered quietly, I love him. How did you do that? Evelyn threw up her hands. Forget about him. I know he's handsome, but he's cold-hearted. I can't. I want to be with him. What can you do? The girl's burned out. To get him out of my head. Charles enjoyed catching Camille's expressive glances. He walked resolutely toward his friends. Camille, may I have this dance? He put his arm around her waist, but not too loosely, so as not to startle her. Why? You, I beg your pardon. Don't you like it here? I think it's a great night. It is? But I have to go. My parents are waiting for me. I promised I'd be home early. Oh, that's too bad. The party's in full swing. At least let me walk you out. My heart didn't stop for a second. He's going to see me off. I don't believe it. Am I not dreaming this? Well, okay, if your friend won't mind, she said. I don't have a friend, laughed Charles. I'm completely free. That evening, they went for a long walk and didn't notice that they were on a first-name basis. Camille was over the moon. Saying goodbye at her house, Charles kissed her. I don't want to let you go, he said regretfully, clasping her in his arms. Why don't we go to my place? Let's continue the evening. It started very beautifully. What are you doing? Camille was frightened. I can't. We've only known each other for a short time. I'm not the kind of person who's alone with a man from the first meeting. I'm sorry if I disappointed you. Let's get to know each other. No, I can't. I'm sorry. I'll see you later. Thanks for walking me home. The girl went home with some regret. 2 weeks later, they met at another party. Charles acted as if he didn't know Camille at all. He was hugging one girl, not shy, kissing another. About halfway through the evening, Charles suddenly disappeared. What did I tell you? Evelyn said triumphantly. He doesn't want you. But I thought Camille had cried. If you only knew how wonderful he is. How tender and attentive he is. And how nice it was when he hugged me. Yeah, so nice that he looked at you like you were nothing all night. Forget it. That man is not for you. Don't you see the girls killing themselves around him? How can you compete with them? He wants a one-night stand. And you? Would you be satisfied with that kind of relationship? But how could Camille forget Charles? She cried into her pillow at night. What can I do? I love him so much. How can I tell him? And if he laughs at my feelings, then I can't live. I can suffer in silence. But then he'll never know how I feel about him. And if he reciprocates, if Evelyn is telling the truth. And Charles has never really loved, then I have a chance to win his heart. If only he'd let me love him. After examining herself with thoughts of Charles, the girl forgot herself in a restless sleep. In vain, Camille thought that Charles did not notice the way she looked at him. Charles had clapped him on the shoulder at one of the parties. Buddy, I think. Or Camille has a crush on you. I think so too, he grinned. You're so lucky. She's such a great girl, but she's a little standoffish. I tried to woo her, but she is not in any way right. She is not so easy to seduce. She's all right, Charles said thoughtfully. Stubborn. I like that kind of girl. He was having affairs left and right, changing girls like a glove. He had no regrets about any of them. Camille, on the other hand. She does seem to be in love with me. It occurred to him. Maybe I should take a closer look at her. I might enjoy playing the part of the ardent lover. One evening, Camille was returning from a visit. She entered without noticing anyone around her. Suddenly, someone blocked her way. The girl was confused by surprise. In front of her stood a smiling Charles. In his hands, he held a bouquet of flowers. Hello, Camille! Hello, how are you? Waiting for you. She was amazed, but my heart jumped and fluttered like a frightened bird. Aren't you happy to see me? Why not? I'm always happy to have friends. But no, I don't want to be just a friend. Let me ask you out, but I can't tonight. Nourished Camille. And then she helped herself. You're so stupid, you're so stupid. A guy came to see you and asked you out, and you refuse? You're the one who wanted it. What if he walks away from the idea now? You'll get cold inside, and you'll be crying into your pillow at night again. I realize it's late tonight, and I don't want to interfere with your plans. But maybe we can meet tomorrow then. Tomorrow you're free. Tomorrow, blinking her eyes confusedly, the girl interjected, Ah, yes. Tomorrow is okay? Tomorrow. I don't have any plans for tonight. That's fine. Charles grinned to himself. Then I'll pick you up tomorrow. See you tomorrow then. He leaned over and kissed Camille on the cheek. She smiled stupidly and ran home. Camille! Charles called out to her. Did you forget the flowers? I'm looking forward to seeing you. He spoke softly in her ear as he handed her the flowers. His lips touched her skin, and it gave her goosebumps all over her body. The girl almost stopped with pleasure. Embarrassed by her reaction, Camille took a step back. Goodbye, she said, and disappeared through the doorway of the entryway. Oni, barely able to reach her room, closed it to avoid unnecessary questioning by her parents and immediately called Evelyn. You won't believe this. I just got asked out on a date. By who? The friend asked. Charles, are you out of your mind? Don't tell me you said yes. Yes, I did. He came with flowers and waited in the driveway. Can you believe how happy I am? Evelyn, my heart is about to jump out of my chest. A friend wouldn't be so happy before her time. Yes, I realize that one date is not proof of his love for me, love. Evelyn laughed. I doubt he knows what it is. Don't go to him tomorrow. He'll play with you and leave you. That's what I'm most afraid of. But I can't say no. He's so beautiful. So mesmerizing. Yes, there's a bird in a cage. The next day, Charles waited for the girl again, with flowers. He brought her to a little cafe. I won't beat around the bush, the young man began. I like you very much. You are not like the girls I used to date. You're special. He took her hand and squeezed her slender fingers. I feel good with you. I realized that the first time we met. And now I know I need you. I'm ready to tell you that every day. Camille begged at the words of the young lady's man. She felt like she was in a fairy tale. Nearby is a beautiful prince, for whose sake she is ready to do anything. They sat in the cafe for a long time, talking. Charles told funny stories. Camille kept her eyes on him, in love. Charles said regretfully, "Girl, I have to go? I promised my mother
I wouldn't stay long. She'll be worried. I understand. I don't want to go anywhere, though. I'd have held your hand all night. But you got to keep your word. I love that you're so devoted to your parents. They couldn't part at the driveway." Charles showered the girl with passionate kisses. She melted in his arms. "Baby," Charles finally said, "I don't want to incur your mother's wrath on my head." "I don't want to leave," Camille said, embarrassed. "Let's meet again tomorrow. My parents are going to the country for the weekend. Will I have the apartment all to myself?" "No." The girl bounced right off the guy. "I'm not going to the apartment. What are you scared of?" Charles laughed.
We're adults. I don't want to get by with just kisses. I want to have you all to myself. He pulled her sharply against him. She felt his muscles tense. I can see you want the same thing. Well, admit it. Are you afraid of me? I can't. The girl's scared. Sorry to disappoint you. Stupid. I won't do anything to you that you don't want to do. We can just sit down, watch a good movie together. Let's do it another time. Bye. Camille hurried through the front door. It took her a long time to calm down. She loved kissing Charles. His kisses stirred her imagination, but she was afraid that once she had achieved intimacy, Charles would just disappear. That's what he did to others. That's what her friend had warned her about. But how, my friend, did you succeed in winning a girl? Modestly, as if sensing Charles's mood, his friend called. While we're in the candy bag period, laughed Charles. She's so tender, so pure. And she looks at me like I'm a deity. It feels good. You know, I think she genuinely loves me. I've never felt that before in my life. What about your shepherds? They won't forgive you if you forget about them. Who told you I'd forget about them? Camille is for the soul, and my sweet cats are for the body. And I'm not going to hurt either one of them? Charles never tired of giving Camille all sorts of favors. He had a keen sense of what she needed, so he gave her flowers, bought her theater tickets. Her ears were decorated with small gold earrings. And once the young man presented an elegant bracelet, which looked great on the thin wrist of the girl. Once the young people were walking and accidentally fell into a downpour. It began suddenly, and they had no time to hide. Let's run to my place, Charles suggested. It's not far. Camille hesitated for a second, then nodded in agreement. Come in, don't be afraid. Charles said, pushing the girl into the living room. My parents aren't here. They're away on a business trip. So I've been running the place alone, not paying attention to the small mess. Now I'll put the kettle on. I need to warm up, and you go to the bathroom and change. He brought a robe, a towel. Camille went into the bathroom. When the girl came out, there was a bottle of wine and an appetizer on the table. Charles had time to change his clothes, sitting down at the table, throwing Camille a greedy look, Charles said. I won't drink, said the girl sharply. Wine only as a cure for colds, laughed Charles. Just one glass. I guarantee you won't come down with a fever. It's a proven method. Camille took a sip. Charles took the glass from her, put his arms around her, and kissed her hard. A pleasant warmth spread over her body. She pressed herself against him, and he lifted her arms and carried her to the bed. She did not resist. With hot kisses, Charles covered Camille's face, freed her from her clothes, and undressed himself. How beautiful you are. The young man looked at her with a fervent gaze. Where were my eyes before? How could I not have noticed what a treasure was beside me? Charles, embarrassed under his gaze, asked Camille, Do you really like me, sir? I like you very much, and I'll prove it immediately. When the passion subsided, Camille regretfully told me to go. Oh, was it? My mother will be angry and ask me where I've been. I don't want to deceive her. I can't tell her the truth yet. I understand. You know, a real miracle happened today. You know that, right? I've been with a lot of women. I'm not hiding it. But everything before you faded. Even experienced women couldn't give me as much pleasure as you. Did you have a good time with me? Very much. Camille jumped to the young man. I hate to leave, but I can't stay. Tell me, when will we meet again? Soon. Charles kissed her. I'll call you. Camille sadly got out of bed, got dressed, and left. Charles rushed to call his friend. I told you she couldn't resist me. The young man laughed victoriously. Are you saying you slept with her? Of course I did. It took some work, though. I wooed her for 3 months, but it was worth it. She's amazing. You're so handsome. So what are you going to do next? I hope it doesn't come down to a marriage proposal. I haven't decided yet. She's nice to hang out with. She doesn't ask about anything, doesn't pry into my business, doesn't ask stupid questions about marriage. And I really like her. That's the weird part. Camille felt like she was flying on wings after intimacy. The only sad thing was that Charles began to call and come less often. The girl couldn't understand what was going on. She was bored, bad thoughts came into her head, but she chased them away. How stupid you are, Evelyn scolded her. He had gotten his way. Getting a girl into bed was a sport for Charles. He won the prize and lost interest in you. You'll see he won't come to you again. That's not true. Somewhere in her heart, Camille understood the justice of her friend's words. But she didn't want to believe in her lover's perfidy. He said he liked me? Bai Fan poked Evelyn. He should have told you he didn't like you. How would he have managed to get you into bed then? I didn't realize you were so naive. He says that to everyone. Are you trying to sting me silly on purpose? I'm trying to take off your rose-colored glasses. Don't you understand anything? He's playing with women. His heart isn't a heart, it's a block of ice. Your love isn't enough to melt it. Forget about him. Camille didn't want to think about betrayal. He had things to do. She tried to justify Charles. If he doesn't show up, he's busy. I'll call and find out. Would he tell me why he didn't say anything? But she couldn't get through. He either said he couldn't talk or didn't pick up the phone. Doubts did not give Camille rest. She calmed herself in every way possible. A month later, she realized she was pregnant with Charles. Begged Camille, almost crying, I don't need to see you. Oh, it's very urgent, but I'm busy right now, the young man replied coldly. I'll call you myself when I have time. I can't wait. It's really urgent. She waited for him at the cafe where they had been so often recently. I'm sorry, I was delayed by the smell of 6. Charles flew into the cafe and sank down on the chair opposite Camille. What did you want to talk about? And what's the rush? I should warn you, I don't have a lot of time. Charles, the girl interrupted the napkin in her hands and was afraid to raise her eyes at him. I wanted to tell you that I'm sorry. Can I order a cup of coffee? My mouth was dry. I was in such a hurry. Do you want anything? No, thanks. Camille was relieved to breathe out for another minute. The hard talk is postponed. Now I'm all human. He took a few sips. Tell me why you called. Charles, I'm pregnant. The girl blurted out. Yes, congratulations. What's that got to do with me? It's your baby. Oh, boy. He stared at her in amazement. What do you suggest? I don't know. Camille was confused. I thought you were rejoicing a little, unexpectedly. He got excited as he walked. I didn't expect to be a father so soon. You said you liked me. Well, that's not true. Of course I like you. But I'm honestly not ready to commit to marriage. It's not the right time. What am I going to do? Camille's lips quivered, tears welled up in her eyes. Don't go getting all soggy on me. I'm not giving up the baby, am I? The girl rejoiced and blew her nose. Treacherous tears rolled down her cheeks. I was afraid you were driving me away. For me, the very pregnancy was a surprise. Come on, little girl. Charles took her hand in his. I'm not going to leave you. We'll figure something out. You just took me by surprise. Me and Dad. Sounds pretty weird. Charles. She clasped his hand and cried, too. I love you. And I'll love our baby already. You won't leave me, will you? We can be together, but on one condition. A little shaken, Charles spoke. Maybe my words will seem strange to you, but I'm not going to give up the life I'm used to. We'll get married only on my terms. On your terms? The terms that we marry? I promise you. Oh, maybe a ladies' man, but my father instilled in me a sense of responsibility. I'm not a sneak. I don't want to be sneaky or deceitful. On the last Friday of every month, I'm going to go out for a little while for the evening or overnight, as the case may be. It's an old tradition I won't give up, even for my family. I'll tell you right away, my friends and I not only drink, go to the sauna, but also have fun with girls. That's how it is. I don't have enough adrenaline. I want a calm, measured life to spice up PR. The rest of the time, I promise to be an honest family man, to spend weekends and evenings at home. You and our child won't have to take care of anything. You'll notice I'm being very honest with you. If you agree to my condition, we can apply tomorrow and get married. Thank you for your honesty. Camille was taken aback by her lover's confession. Is this a joke? No, it's not a joke. Charles was very calm. Understand, I won't be different just because I'm marrying you. You can't expect me to refuse to see my friends. No woman is going to make me do that. The decision is yours. How can he seriously suggest such a thing to me? Camille thought, staring into her coffee cup. How could I go to bed with him, after other men's women? I hate to even think about it. But you knew our experience before, the inner voice told her, that he was not a monk, that his women changed like a kaleidoscope. But still, she decided to have a relationship with him. And he never stopped meeting others. He was seeing a few others at the same time as you, didn't he? No, I don't want to hear it. She silenced the voice of reason. He'll marry me and stop chasing after every skirt. I'll love him so much he won't need anyone else. I believe that. Will he go out when our son is born? For some reason, she was sure she was going to have a son. No, of course he'll settle down, I'm sure. Besides, I don't have any other choice anyway. Being a single mom isn't for me. My parents wouldn't understand. Charles will change. Yes, he will. He'll realize he doesn't need other women. I agree, Camille said firmly. She had no idea that at that moment she had made the biggest mistake of her life. Do you believe Charles will change after marriage? It was an unforgivable delusion. She put up with her husband's affairs for 5 years, until she met her former classmate on one of her darkest Fridays. When the front door slammed behind Charles, Camille sat down at the table, dropped her head in her hands, and cried, "Mommy." James stood beside his mother and tugged on her sleeve. "Why are you crying? Who hurt you, son?" She hugged the boy and cried even harder. "Nobody hurt me. I just had a bad day this morning. I'll calm down now, and we'll go to the kindergarten." And the woman left her son with the teachers and returned home like a lost woman. She wandered from room to room, wiping off invisible dust, aimlessly imagining things on the shelves, looking at knickknacks given or bought on occasion. There was no way she could get a grip on her son's heart. She stopped in front of the large mirror in the hallway. A pretty young woman looked at her, Slender figure not spoiled by childbirth and a long stay at home, she looked good. What does he want? She asked herself in despair. The house is full. I do everything for my husband and my son. Why is he doing this to me? At what point did I stop respecting myself enough to accept the shameful ultimatum he gave me? Why do I have to put up with this? I have to make a change in my life? What? Yeah, I cook and watch and wash my husband's shirts, and he has fun with other people. He doesn't think I'm human. Does he ever love me at all? I'm so sick of this. I don't want to stay here anymore. We should go to the store and get some groceries. She threw the dust rag into the bucket of water. She quickly cleaned up, changed her clothes, and left the house. The woman walked into a supermarket not far from her son's daycare center. She walked slowly between the counters. It was too early to go after jams, so she leisurely selected the goods. Camilla was suddenly heard, and she looked back inertly. I can't believe it. How beautiful you've become. You don't recognize me. It's me, Mason. Don't you remember, Mason? I didn't recognize you right away. The young woman was surprised to look at her former classmate. Tall, fit, in a sports suit, he radiated calmness and warmth. How long we haven't seen each other. After school, you went straight to the institute and never came to the reunion. How do you live? Family, children. What do you do? Daddy, Daddy? Look what I found. A boy ran up to them, and in his hands were matches to light the fire. We'll need them. I'd like you to meet Camille. This is my son, Jacob. We'll need them? You're good, huh? The man patted the boy on the head. Hello, Jacob. I have a son, too. He is 2 years older, Camille said, and smiled at the boy. And we are going camping tonight. Mason stroked his son on the head. The weather is great. Friends invited us to a camping trip. You remember, I've always been a fan of camping, campfire songs, and sleeping in a tent. I remember. Camille smiled sadly, then looked at her watch and realized. Oh, I'm talking to you. I have to pick up my son from daycare. I'm sorry, I have to go. I'm afraid I'm going to be late. James doesn't like to be the last one in the group. We've already bought everything. Come on, I'll drive you. Where to? Give me a ride around here. No need to worry. You're in a hurry, I guess you can't say no. I'd love to talk to you. We'll be in the car in a jiffy. What's your ride home? We have a little time. All right, Camille agreed. It was hard on her heart, and she didn't want to stay home alone. She was glad to see him. A woman picked James up from the daycare center. Son, there's someone I want you to meet, his mother said, when they went outside to say hello. This is Mason, an old acquaintance of mine. And this is Jacob. I hope you two are friends. Hi, James. Mason smiled and held out his hand to the boy. Would you mind if we gave you a ride home? James shook his head vigorously. That's great. Then sit down with Jacob. The boys quickly found common ground with each other. In a few minutes, they were chatting merrily, ignoring the adults. Mason glanced at the woman from time to time. Then he spoke. Camille, did something happen to you? You're not yourself. I can help. How can you help? The woman smiled sadly at him. After 5 years, I suddenly discovered that I was unhappy in my marriage, that my husband had never really loved me. Can you bring back that love? So why did you and your husband fight? It's normal. There's no such thing as a perfect marriage. Make up. I hope he's a good man. You don't understand. Today is Black Friday for me. It's like this every month. It's the same thing every year. I hate it. Why is it black? The man looked at her puzzled. Someone died on this day. I guess you're right, the woman replied. Muffled. My soul died. I didn't even notice. What terrible words you speak. Are you a young, beautiful woman? Yes. But that doesn't stop my husband from going to the sauna with his friends every last Friday of the month. What's wrong with that? You need a sauna once in a while. I understand him. He's a sauna lover himself. And then they have fun with women, Camille went on. I knew it would happen. You see, that's the disgusting thing. I hoped he would change with time. Alas, nothing has happened. Everything stays the same. How can you stand it? Mason was shocked to hear that confession. Have you ever cheated on your wife? Never, the man said, muffled. My wife died in childbirth. I am raising Jacob alone and have been faithful to my wife's memory all these years. It would never have occurred to me to cheat on her. I'm sorry, I didn't know. As we chatted, we didn't realize we were approaching Camille's house. So, knowing that, stopping the car, Mason unexpectedly offered to come with us. Why? To unwind, to relax. Imagine going on vacation and leaving the city for a week. Romantic. And it's good for your boy to get some fresh air. Jacob and I often go to these gatherings. It's where couples get together. We have everything we need, so we won't mind your company. Yes, son. He turned to the boy. We'll take Aunt Camille and James with us. Hooray! Both boys shouted at the same time. See, the kids don't mind, smiled Mason. Mom, let's go, please. Looked at her son. What do you think about it? The man looked at her questioningly. I'll take it. Camille did not expect such an answer from herself. That's good, the man said happily. We'll wait for you to pack. Take a blanket or something. It'll be chilly at night. There's enough groceries for everyone. Camille quickly packed and went back to the men. Soon, they were already there. Mason expertly pitched the tent. The boys brought firewood for the fire. Mason, what am I supposed to do? You rest. The man chopped the Westerner on top, threw a blanket inviting Camilla to sit down, separated a client on the ground, and set the table. Camilla watched him deftly handle everything and envied him. The kids were happy. Mason took a thick rope out of his backpack and quickly built a swing for them between the trees. Then they all played soccer together. Camille realized that she had never had as much fun as she had with this essentially stranger. Time flew by, and it was getting chilly by the river. Camille felt a blanket on her shoulders. Thank you, Mason. She smiled sadly. I haven't felt this good in a long time. I'd forgotten how good it felt to have someone take care of you. And I thought to myself, this is how a real man should act. My husband of 5 years never gave me such care and attention. How does Mason handle the kids? Charles isn't like that. He's all about work and fun. He never has time for us. How nice it would be to get outdoors as a family. All these years, I thought I'd be happy someday, and I didn't even realize what happiness was. I only realized it today. That's what a family should be. And our illusion, which exists thanks to me, who do I keep it for? Who am I fooling by thinking I'm happy? And do I need it? That's how Camille pondered, looking at the flames of the fire. Mason was talking passionately to the boys, and they listened with their mouths open. Charles resented Camille's outdoor activities. And I'm supposed to be running around like a squirrel, getting to work, and keeping the house in order. She's got a lot of nerve, ungrateful. So is he. And then she'll sit on your neck with her legs hanging down, and then there's that classmate from somewhere. How dare she go off with a strange man? She's a romantic. She decided to remember her youth. Wait till you come back. He growled with his fist into the void. You can't stay in a tent forever. Sooner or later, you'll get tired of it all and want to go back to civilization. That's when I'll teach you. He sat alone in his apartment in the evenings, drinking cognac with a plan of revenge in his head. The wife's insolent. Camille and her son returned a week later. Charles was at home waiting for them. Daddy's son rushed to him from the doorstep. We'd been camping. It was so great I saw a squirrel there. I met Jacob. Mason made us a swing set. We played soccer. I learned how to make a fire. Territory, boy. Jacob and I used to bring wood for the fire. Too bad you weren't with us. Mason would have taught you everything. The boy went on and on about his adventures. Camille didn't even look at her husband, went straight to the bedroom, unpacked, and showered. Then she changed her son's clothes and sent him to the nursery and went to the kitchen.
Who the hell are Mason and Jacob? Charles asked grudgingly, following her into the kitchen. Where did you meet them? Mason is my classmate. Jacob is his son. They invited us to go camping, and you said yes right away. You went with some guy with brandy,
Took your son. Didn't say anything to me. I don't have to answer to you. Camille answered coldly. You left with my son and even disconnected the phone. The man was indignant. What was I to think? Strange. His wife threw a quick glance at him. You never used to care where we were or what we were doing. What's happened to you this week? I've been worried. You think I've got no heart at all? You were worried? That's a new one. Camille laughed out loud. You should have been worried before. I seriously doubt you cared at all about our absence. You didn't care about us on Friday night. You were out partying with your friends and girlfriends. What could I possibly have to complain about? You know we have a tradition. What are you doing in the office this time? You're on some kind of pot quest. You dumped the dog on me. You know he pooped in the house, and I had to clean up after him. I thought we were very clear from the beginning. Did you accept my terms? Yes, I did. Camille sighed heavily, because at that moment I had no other choice. I'd hoped you'd grow up and give up your Friday nights.
I was wrong. You weren't going to change anything in your life. Why would I change anything? Charles didn't understand. I'm fine with it. I thought you were fine with it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of verbally accepting your cheating. Every Friday was a Black Friday for me. Have you ever wondered how I feel when you're not around? What it's like to sit at home and know that the one you love is finding comfort in the arms of a corrupt woman? And how many tears have been shed on those days when you didn't spend the night at home? Have you not thought about it? But I compensated you for my absence with gifts, didn't I? I never came empty-handed. He grabbed the box with the bracelet and threw it on the table. I bought a bracelet this time. Open it up. Look at it. See, I know how to apologize. I'm a human being. Why do I need your gifts? She didn't even look at the bracelet. Can they dull the humiliation? You wiped my feet. I stopped respecting myself. You turned me into a thing. Treated me like a piece of furniture. I needed to see if I meant anything in your life. Well, you know, pissed off Charles. Did you even disappear for a week? Because I'd had enough. I figured I could use a joke. Okay, now you and me. Tavitas. You got me used to it. I've got it all figured out, and I've realized it. You didn't realize anything. I realized I don't love you anymore, and I want a divorce. A divorce? Are you crazy? We've been together for so many years. Camille. Her husband grabbed her hand. Look at me. We have a family. Why divorce? Well, we had a fight. All families do that. But that's no reason to ruin it. We're having a good time. Do you want to go on vacation to the seaside? Want to? We haven't been to the sea. How about abroad or in the country? We'll rent a house for a week, and we'll leave James to his mother-in-law. I agree.
Charles, you still don't get it. I don't want to live with you. I've made up my mind. James and I are leaving you. Wait a minute. When Charles realized his wife's determination, he became very nervous. Camille, I loved you. In my own way, yes. Perhaps not as fervently as you loved me. But James means everything to me. I don't want to break up with him. I'm a father, and I have a right to be involved in his upbringing. He's the most precious thing in my life. I'm not going to deprive my son of a father. You'll be able to see him whenever you want. Only I'm guessing you'll forget about him as soon as we close the door to this apartment. Well, Where are you going to go? The husband desperately tried to find convincing reasons to stop his wife. Sabrik, this is our home. We left this apartment together. Don't you remember how good we were here? It was always good for you. Hot food, fresh shirts, cleanliness. No one asked me how I was doing. I'm sick of it. Can't you just wipe it all out in one fell swoop? I've never denied you anything, bought you anything you wanted. And you don't? I canceled my Friday night out. I'm begging you. I looked at my wife with my hand over my heart. I solemnly promise to be a model family man from next month. Nothing you canceled, sadly grinned the woman. For 5 years I have studied you too well, so I do not believe a word you say. We'll settle down for a while, I guess. But then you'll find a way to go back to your old ways. I don't want to push my luck again. You're right. We have to make some changes in our lives. I'm ready, Camille. Just don't go. Don't leave me. It's from that guy? Your classmate. But you don't know him at all. I know exactly what you're capable of. I promise to change. Camilla, don't make a hasty decision. I beg you. I've thought it over. I'm sorry, I'm tired, and I want to rest. I'll make your bed in the living room. Charles did not fully believe that Camille would leave him, but in the morning the woman packed her bags and came with her son to his mother's house, and immediately filed for divorce. It's your Charles, nagged Emily. The daughter never liked him. So you are a mother and did not want to listen. Mom asked James if we'd go to the park with Mason and Jacob. You promised? Mason who? Looking at her daughter suspiciously, the mother asked. Mason is my classmate. Have you forgotten? Is that how he's married? No, a widower. The boys became good friends in the afterlife, so they decided to go to the park together. That's very good, my daughter. The woman rejoiced. Maybe you'll do well here at least. Mom! Camille rebuked her. I'm still married, and you've already made me a saint. You'll be divorced soon enough. Will you look after Mason? He's a good man. A month later, Camille got her divorce. Mason started coming over to Emily's house a lot. Jacob and James became friends and secretly wished their parents would get married. Camille, who had a sad experience of married life, was not in a hurry to tie herself again with the bonds of marriage. But Mason was persistent. Camille. Emily admonished her. You've been dating for 3 years. It's time to consummate the relationship. Haven't you realized that Mason is nothing like your first husband? Yeah, I know. I'm a mom. And I'm still scared. You're babysitting the boys tonight? Mason invited me to a restaurant. I will, the woman sighed. Have a good time. Mason and Camille went to the restaurant. What's your idea of inviting me here? The woman asked. Mom was offended that we turned down her dinner. Camille. The man looked at her intently. I won't beat around the bush. I invited you here for a reason. He took a velvet box out of his pocket and opened it. I love you. Marry me. Tears welled up in the woman's eyes, and I agree. Simple, she replied, accepting the ring. I love you, but I'll make one condition, no lavish celebrations. A year later, Camille gave her husband a daughter. Charles did not grieve long after his divorce from his wife and went to the sauna again one Friday. Charles, his friends greeted him with whistles, laughter, and jokes. Congratulations! You've joined the ranks of divorced husbands. Don't worry, it's hard at first, and then you'll even enjoy the bachelor life. All girls are the same. He complained to his friends after he'd gotten drunk. That's what Camille was missing. I did everything for her, and she threw me over. I let her down. I realized that only now. I should have spoiled her less. Then I wouldn't have had bad thoughts in my head. She wanted her freedom. She forgot where a woman belongs. I'll tell you in the kitchen. They're telling me, where's the justice? She wanted to forbid me to meet you, my friends. No, that's not going to happen. No girl will come between us. A man's friendship is as strong as armor. It's all right. She'll realize what she's lost someday. It's a shame about James, though. He's a good kid growing up. That bitch took him. But I'm not going to let her take my son away from me. I'll have more girls. But I have one son. I love him very much. Now, every Friday, Charles would get drunk and talk about how ungrateful girls were. And cried drunken tears, 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 cried drunken tears,